Hi there, John with you again, and it's time now for the weathering video of the Sherman. Video 1, we did the unboxing. We got it built, then we got it painted. Now it's time to kind of make it look real, as in getting the weathering done and things like that. Okay, so here it is, all made up, all nice and shiny, factory fresh as I used to call it. All nice and pretty, but we don't want it nice and pretty. We want it looking used, a bit roughed up. So let's get started. I'm going to start with some chipping. Areas that you do the chipping on, any areas that would have bags hanging off it along the sides where it would scrape off walls and trees, so therefore you'd kind of scrape the paint off. You wouldn't really damage the tank itself, but you'd scrape paint off it and things like that. Also areas where you're going to be where people would have been walking on, if it's sort of the standard way to get up onto the tank, obviously that area is going to get, it's going to get scuffed up a bit and you're going to lose a bit of paint on it. Also any kind of hard edges and things like that, the paint would have chipped off and stuff like that. And then it's down to yourself, as in what degree of chipping you're going to give it, how long the tank has been in the field. If it's only kind of reasonably fresh in the field, it's going to be pretty okay. If it's been there a while and seen a fair bit of action and things like that, obviously it's going to be dirty because they weren't too busy washing the tanks and making them all nice and clean and ready for parade. There'd be none of that. It was literally a case of the dirtier they were and the more scuffed up and things like that they were, the more they blended in, especially if you're kind of going trying to hide it up at night time in larder and places like that. It's going to get scuffed up. It's going to get as they come in, they cover it with trees and branches and things, and it does. They get damaged. They get paints get scraped and things like that. So that's what we're going to do for the first part of it. Do a bit of chipping. Okay. So you don't need to see me doing chipping. You've seen me doing chipping before. But I'll do the chipping and we'll come back to it and we'll have a look at that and move on then from there, I suppose. Okay, so I'm after giving it the chipping, and I'm also after giving it its first of the black washes. Okay, as you can see, I didn't really do much chipping. I just did a sort of a few scratches and things more than anything else, and the black wash then went in around all the panels, all that kind of thing. Okay, so that's how she's looking now. Next step now is I'm going to take the tracks off again. I want to get in here and do some kind of mud effects in here. I use some pigments and some water, make up a kind of a sludge. Add that in there. That usually works for me. I use a kind of a muddy kind of colour pigments. I like doing the sludge wash on it while it's still gloss coated. At least then you can rub off what you don't need, and what's left then is usually good. I say usually because it usually is. Same here now with the turret. We'll have a look at the turret. As you can see, sort of the black washes after making all these little bits and pieces stick out and look a lot better. And it's after darkening everything up, which it is after getting the black wash, so everything would be darker. So the next step now is to give it a bit of a sludge wash. Okay. And what I'll do is when I'm doing the sludge wash, I'm going to actually show you how I do it. So I'm going to get everything ready and I can get back to you and we'll do the sludge wash on the won't be doing so much of it on the turret because the mud won't really get up onto the turret. It'll be more on the running gear in here on the inside there, that section there, and up around the sides, a bit in the back, and definitely on the front then as well. So just make it realistic. You know, where is mud going to splash? It's not going to splash up around the top sections, but it is going to, you know, get up around the sides, in around the workings and things like that. Okay, so get that done. Come back then, we'll have a look at that. Like I said, I'll get everything ready. I have everything ready to go for the sludge wash, and we'll come back and we'll have a look at that going on. Okay, so we're going to do the sludge wash. This is basically what you need. You need a little container. You need some pigments, be it either pigments or chalk pastels. I used to use chalk pastels. It's just that I got these there recently enough. When I say recently, I got them about a year and a half ago actually, or even longer. They're a little set from Revell. There was 6 inside in it. Okay. Excuse me, I'm bashing the camera and everything. Okay, so what I'm going to do is, I have nothing left in that one. Oh, the mud green. I got dark brown. Okay, so we get a bit of dark brown. Okay, bit of the dark brown. Now, like I said, I have no mud green left, so I'll have to sort of dirty up my water with that. Okay, and get what's left of it out of the tub using the water. Let's buy another one of those actually, because it was actually quite good. It wasn't that expensive either. Okay, and the 6. There's 6 pigments inside. Now, the only thing is the shop that I did buy these in is now closed. I think closed up, gone out of business. So, but because it's Revell, I should be able to pick them up easy enough. Just have to kind of look for them really. And being sort of 6 in the pack, in 6 different colours, you're not sort of buying loads of pigments and things, right? So that's what you do, is just make up dirty water really. Okay, and paint it on. Paint it on everywhere. The great thing about this is, I mean, if it works out that, oh God, it's too brown or too brown, you can change the colours of it with more pigments, by adding pigments onto it. You can change it by using washes, things like that. Okay, so like I said, this is basically based in Europe, sort of late 44, sort of the winter of 44, which was quite a shitty winter by all accounts. So the ground would have been just churned up, especially with the amount of armour and stuff going over the ground. Everything got basically covered in mud during the winter. If you look at any footage, actual footage that is, not movies. Movies tend to kind of dramatise everything, make everything look lovely and pretty and things like that. But in reality, they weren't that pretty. Everything was filthy dirty, it was covered in mud, people were covered in mud, they're freaking sick at the death of the mud. Okay. I always do the bottom as well. Why? I do not know, because you're not going to turn it over. But I always do the bottom last, just in case I don't have enough stuff done up. Okay. So, and remember, this isn't, like I said, you mean the colours of this are going to be, they're not going to be enough on their own. But this is all kind of steps, you know, to get to the eventual finish. So obviously it's not going to look like the finished article straight away. Right. You're going to get mud up in different areas. You will get splashes here and there. Have a light dusting of it here. Oh. I will put that aside to dry. Okay, like I said, it looks freaking horrible already, doesn't it? But I'll put that aside to dry. Right? We'll come back then, we'll have a look at it when it's all dry. And then you kind of, you basically play around with it then. Don't forget, keep your stuff. You play around with it then, as in, you know, you can remove a bit, you can change the colours with washes and stuff. But like I said, this is all just already the first step. Well, the first step was actually giving it a black wash. This is the second step. I will be using some pastel chalks at a later stage in the weathering of it, and that's to give it kind of a couple of lighter tones and some different colours in there as well, just to kind of make it a bit interesting. But we're going to let that dry in. I'm going to let it, believe it or not, I'm actually going to let it dry overnight, so it's kind of dried in and caked on. But it's easy enough to remove. Just a bit of water. Use of these yucks here, cotton buds, and you know, bit of extra water, and you remove. You can basically remove everything all over again if you want to. But like I said, it's all a step process. You do this one, you go on to the next one, and then you start taking off little bits and pieces like that, and eventually you'll end up then with something you're happy with. Hopefully, fingers crossed. So I'm going to let that dry overnight, and I'll come back to you then when that's all dry. We'll have a look at it and we'll see what we're going to play around with it. Okay, now we've after leaving it dry in. Okay, there it is, all dry in. Next what we do is just with some water and a brush with the superstructure. Not in here, because I want to kind of keep that mostly kind of dirty. So with that bit there, what I do is wet it, bit of tissue, and just wipe it off. I know it kind of feels like you're kind of defeating the purpose of putting it on and then taking it off again. But what you want is, you want the residue off it. Okay. Now you can either use tissue, or you can use Q-tips, cotton buds, whatever you want to call them. Same idea. Basically, just sort of wet it down. Use the Q-tip. Kind of remove most of the pigments again. You're left them with a kind of a dirty residue, and stains and things, which is what you want. And when that starts drying in, then remember, this is only the first colour. We'll be adding lighter colours and things as we go on. But you can see where it gets caught in the texture of the vehicle itself. Right, and then clean that down like that. If you look here, you can see it here in the star now, where it gets kind of embedded and grained into it. Okay. Now, if I had left that the original pure smooth, it wouldn't have got that effect on it. So by using the Mr. Surfacer and getting a bit of a texture onto the side of the tank there, by using then the pigments mixed with water, leave them dry in, and then as you remove them, it gets caught. Parts of it get caught in amongst the dimples and the ridges and things, and it goes into it, and it just makes it dirty without actually making it look too bad. You know, as if it was all kind of strategically placed. You don't want that effect. You want it kind of to look like it's just natural mud on it. Like around here now, that would be, to leave that like that, that would be just wrong. It just wouldn't look natural. Okay, and what we want, the effect I want to get is that it's just it's natural mud and staining. Okay. Whereas the mud will get mostly kind of washed off and washed down along the side of the vehicle and things. Remember, you don't want to remove all of it, you just want to kind of tone it down a bit, right? So I'm going to leave that bit dry, move on to another section, get the whole lot then like that, then leave that dry, and then we'll go on then to the next sludge wash colour, which will be a kind of a sandy dusty colour, and we'll see what that looks like. And we see then, do we need to sort of add any more? And remember, we can always darken areas with uses of washes and things like that. So people have asked how I do this, and this is basically how I do it. I'm trying to explain what I'm doing, because most of the time I don't really know what I'm doing, if you know what I mean. There's no sort of rhyme or reason to what I'm doing. I just sort of feel, oh, I could do a bit of this and it might work out, and usually it does. Okay. I have used this method before, I have used these colours before, and I know it works. So bear with me. Like I said, built up step by step, and we'll see by the end of the video, you'll see what the overall effect is going to be like. Okay, but in between it just looks a bit too dramatic at times, but we'll get there. Okay, next step now is going to get all this washed off and cleaned up. Going to leave it dry overnight, then we'll have a look at it, and then we'll add on the next sludge wash. Okay, so there she is after cleaning off all the pigments there. Left them on the side, as you can see, but give it a kind of a clean down. Front of it I'm happy with, and the side I'm happy with. And believe it or not, I'm going to leave it at that. I know I said I was going to do another different couple of colours with the sludge washes, but I think that any more than that now would kind of ruin it, you know, to be perfectly honest with you. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give that now a dull coat over that. That will do two jobs. One, it will dull it down. Two, it will seal in any bit of the pigments that are on it, because all you got to do is rub them and they'll come off in your finger and they'll come off everywhere. So I don't want any more to come off, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to give that a dull coat. Once the dull coat is finished, then I'm going to give it a dust coat with buff. I've spoken about this stuff before. It's XF57 buff, okay, from Tamiya. and by giving it a nice distance, a distance of about maybe what, 8 to 10 inches away with your airbrush, just light spraying, very very light. You don't want to actually see the paint on it, but what it'll do is it'll lighten everything off and make it look dusty, so you can get the effects of pigments without actually using pigments, doing it that way. And hopefully that will be the finish of it. So I'm going to have a look at it and see what that ends up with. I've decided not to go ahead with stowage on it either. I'm going to leave it as is. I just thought I'd leave it as a kind of a standalone piece, and that I'm happy with how it turned out. And I have this horrible feeling that if I go putting on fill up the back of it with stowage like I did with the Fury tank, that I might end up ruining it. Well, ruining the look and of what I want out of it. So I'm just going to give that a dull coat. I'll come back excuse me, come back and have a quick look at it after the dull coat. Oh, excuse me. Then I'm going to stick the tracks back on, and then I'm going to give it that dust coating with the buff. We'll see what that looks like then. If I'm happy with it, I'm going to leave it at that. I might. We'll see. Does it need any more? I don't think it will. I think that will be plenty on it, to be quite honest with you, because I like the look of it. I do like the look of it at the moment. So I'll give it that the dull coat. We'll come back. Well, like I said, we'll come back. We'll have a look at it with the dull coat on, see what how that affects it, and more than likely then move on then with the dust coat with the XF57. So back in a mo, and we'll have it dull coated. Okay, so there she is now after getting dull coated. Now something is after happening. You can possibly see it here. A little bit there, kind of along here as well. Look at it. It happened in the dull coating phase. I'm after getting little spots of white. Okay. Now the only thing I can think of, it's the a reaction between the gloss and the dull coat. No. For thinner on the dull coat, I used this Ultimate thinner, and the only thing I can think of is that I didn't sort of mix it quite right. I didn't use enough thinner in the dull coat, because it's a Tamiya dull coat is what I use. Where is it? Here we are. It's XF86. Let's get the light off that there. XF86 flat clear. When I mixed it up, I used, like I said, I used the Ultimate thinners, because I normally use the Tamiya thinners, and I mixed them the exact same way as I would with the Tamiya thinner, but I think that with the Ultimate stuff I got to use a little bit more of it. That's why it kind of left a kind of a white residue on it. Now I have tried to get rid of it. I've given it a couple of different washes since, but each time it dries in it comes back up again. So I don't know what I'm going to do for a finish, but even with those sort of white marks, it's not actually too bad at all. It's actually quite nice, believe it or not. I definitely won't need a dust coating on it, because it looks dusty from that kind of white residue that it's after leaving on it. So I'm going to call it a day on this one. As you can see, it is nicely weathered. Everything came out really nicely on it. Just a small little hiccup, like I said here, with some kind of white marks, and like I said, I'd love to know why. So if anybody out there has had this problem before and knows exactly what caused it, let me know, please. Is it the thinner on the dull coat, or was it me just totally fucking up? I do not know. I mean, I could go a little bit further on it, you know, glue the tracks to the thing, but until I figure out what caused that whiteness, I'm going to have to leave it at that, because like I said, I have tried a couple of different things. I've tried everything that I can think of to get rid of it, bar repainting, which I'm not going to bother doing. Yeah, well, do you know what I mean? We try out different things, and sometimes they work, sometimes they don't. This time it didn't work, but it didn't destroy it, if you know what I mean. It still kind of ended up quite nice. I actually kind of like the finish of it. Tried a couple of different new techniques on it with that Mr. Surfacer 500. We got a nice texture on the vehicle with it. It's better than the smooth finish that was originally on it. Whether it was one of my washes or whether I did use an enamel wash, and I didn't have any white spirit to mix with it, and I used that instead, distilled turpentine. Now that could have done it as well. Okay, I tried making a wash with distilled turpentine. Now that could have made it white as well. So I wish I knew what it was, because I tried so many different things, and it was literally when I put on the dull coat, when that dull coat dried in, it left sort of white residue all over it. By giving it a kind of a black wash since then, a couple of other different things, basically just different washes really, I've toned it down. It isn't as bad as it was. It was very, very kind of whitish. But yeah, I'm going to leave it at that, lads. Okay, so like I said, if anybody knows where I went wrong with the with that, was it in the washes, was it with the dull coat, was it by using, say, to me, a dull coat with the Alclad gloss, because I used this Alclad. Okay, I normally use this one. Now they're both Aquaglass 600, but this is a 660, and this is just Aquaglass 600. Whether that's just a newer version of this or not, I don't know either. Okay. Like I said, it's one of those things. I wish I could kind of pinpoint where I went wrong, so I won't do that again. So I'm going to leave it at that, lads. I'll catch you on the next one. Like I said, any comments, stick them in the box below and let me know where I went wrong with it, as in that white residue, what could have possibly caused it. So time for me now to move on and get a new project, isn't it? Yes, I have to do something different. I think I'll be doing some German armour next. I like the old German armour. I do like the old German armour. So anyway, lads, don't forget to like and subscribe. Subscribe to the channel if you've not subscribed. If you have subscribed, thank you very, very much. I do appreciate it. And don't forget to come along and join us on the Facebook page. Okay, that's John Moore's Scale Models on Facebook. Just ask to join, and one of us will let you in, shall we say. We'll let you in, because it is a closed group. Do have a couple of little rules. In other words, only modelling, no advertising. It's not a selling page, so don't ask for people to buy your stuff. It's kind of a lot of it is, say, towards beginners, or people that are we're not professionals, especially me. I'm not a professional. I don't go off using loads of top quality products. I don't spend a fortune on it. I'd like to save my money and use it on kits and things, because it is an expensive hobby, and the paints aren't cheap and everything isn't cheap. Okay, and a lot of us are sort of retired or semi-retired, so we're on a kind of limited budget. So when you're on a limited budget, you want to try and find a couple of techniques that will do the same as, say, the products, but not cost us a fortune. Which is why I make up my own washes, and as you can see from this, more than likely one of them is after going wrong on me. So anyway, lads, I'm going to leave it at that. Catch you on the next one. Stay safe, and go out and buy yourself a kit. Build it and enjoy it, because that's what it's all about. So John signing off. I'll catch you on the next one, lads. Ta-da!